It relates to this whole point of arguing about understanding your efficiency, and understanding the value of your existence. And there's lots of ways we're compromised, and how vital the work we did was. Many people have jobs where they're just basically crooks. They crank call people, try to fool them into giving their company money, or some other kind of crap. And so they make no productive improvements to civilization or humanity.
Okay, and this totally sort of gets to my point with the other thing. So a lot of people, they might not have a choice. They have to do something like that. So, yeah, he makes a point. If someone's willingly doing that, yeah, then they're like a net negative. But if they're forced into doing that, is that they're really their fault? So if they don't have any other options, should they just like cease to exist and just give up? Or should they continue with it? It's a hard question. But even so, if they work hard or if they work at it, but they're willing to do something better if they have a chance, then are they putting a net positive in? It's a very complicated situation. So their labor could have just as easily been used for something good if the structure above them that they had no control over was better.
In their work. And so basically they spend their life being destructive rather than productive, even though they acquire the money. So how much money you acquire isn't necessarily the definition of your productivity.
And that's absolutely true. In fact, I don't even think it should be used as a measure of productivity. It may be able to be considered in certain circumstances, but yeah, money can also be manipulated like crazy, so it's not a good tool of measurement.
There has to be some value to the work. So I could argue that now if I try to evaluate my impact on the world, and I could just go without saying that, let's just take it for granted, for the sake of the conversation, that this philosophical stuff has no value, and that I'm wrong about physics, and that has no value. And I'm
okay. So he's just obviously just saying that for the philosophical sake. But again, it kind of gets back to what I was saying in the other video on this video response, is that yeah, that would actually to me, this philosophical content would actually be a contribution because you're enlightening people. So that I would say does. But let's just continue with what he's going to say. Of course, if you're wrong about everything, if you're really bad at it, then you're it's negative. So you got to be right at least more than you're wrong, or the stuff that you're right on would have to have a bigger potential positive effect than the stuff that you're wrong on, if that makes sense.
Just stuck with my compromised work history, my erratic work history. I could argue that I did enough work to justify having some kind of roof over my head. I mean, I've done work that would equate to, over a period of a lifetime, the building of a house and the growing of enough food to sustain me. I could argue that basically I've done enough work where I should be entitled to the minimalistic life that I exist. I have a very minimal footprint. And so I'd say that even though I'm not working 8 hours a day and I'm not terribly productive, that I have been productive enough in the sense that I have done enough work. And work of value, like fixing things. Making things. Yeah, I mean, that's most of the work I've done.
And then the other thing about this, the other problem you run into is it depends on the technological era you're in. So if he's doing this amount of work now, and let's say we decide that, for the work he did now, he's justified, having a roof over his head and stuff like that, then what if we change the time era? What if he does the same amount of work that he's done in this life, but back in ancient times? Well, maybe he wouldn't qualify because there was less, machines. He would have had to work harder to have the same output. And let's say we go into the future, the work that he does now, he would be way overqualified for a roof over his head because it would be multiplied by so much because of all the technology, you see. So that's another hard thing to really judge.
For most of my life, like I say, delivering newspapers had some value too, maybe. Little odd jobs. I don't know how much real value I don't know what to call it. Landscaping. I did a couple of years of that. I mean, it's because it's just so exclusive, right? So some of that value is lost because there's only 5 people that are going to reap any benefit from it.